welcome to my channel. Welcome to today's video. Today's video is going to be another episode of Shop My Stash. That is a monthly series that I do here on my channel where I pick out products from my collection to use for an entire month, regather my thoughts on them, see if I still like them, if I want to keep them in my collection, talk about all my findings here with you, and then I turn around, pan around, and we pick out new products for the next month together. It's a really great way for me to just get some use out of my collection as a whole and really just share the love between all of my products and get products out that maybe just aren't serving me anymore. So if that sounds good to you, if you like Shop My Stash videos, make sure you give this video a thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't yet. I would love it if you stuck around. But with all that, let's just get started talking about all the products that I've been using for the last month. All right. This video tends to always be pretty long, so I'm just gonna get started. I am wearing most of these products on my face today as much as I can. Everything that I'm wearing is listed down in the description box below, but I'm gonna go in order of application, starting with primer. So this was unopened in my collection. I had never used it, and it is the Wet n Wild Impossible Primer. So this is like a silicone-free primer, but it kind of feels like a silicone primer. I actually quite like this, and I used a lot of it. It's just like a nice, it hydrates, but it also fills the pores. I'm about to here on this. So it was kind of like a good all-in-one primer, and I would actually probably repurchase this. I was a little surprised on how much I liked it. Once I get my primer drawer a little bit more under control, I could see this being like a staple primer in my collection. I liked how it was all in one. I liked that it filled the pores, but it wasn't too pore blurring. If I just want something for every day and don't necessarily want to focus in on an illumination primer or filling in those pores, this is just a good, well-rounded primer. I really liked it a lot. And then that takes us to foundation concealer. I usually pick more than one foundation every month. I usually pick around 3 foundations, but this month I only picked one foundation that I hadn't used in a really long time because I have a video coming up where I'm gonna be ranking, talking about all my Maybelline foundations, and I really needed to focus on that video and not have just too many foundations in rotation. Anyways, the foundation that I pulled in was the Milani Conceal and Perfect 2-in-1 foundation. I have the shade 00 Light Natural. I am wearing this today. The thing with this foundation, I think it looks really nice on camera. Like, this is a foundation I can count on camera, but other than that, I think it looks a little heavy on the face. I think I am going to declutter it. I wish that this was a foundation I could get like a ½ ounce of and just have it in my collection. I think it does serve a purpose, but it's very old in my collection. I mean, years old. It still smells fine. It performed fine. It didn't break me out. So, you know, it wasn't expired, but like technically it's probably expired and just needs to go. So I am gonna toss this. I'm back and forth, like if I want to repurchase this since it's not that expensive of a foundation, and it is a really good foundation, but I'll probably hold off. Again, I have so many foundations in my collection. This is just one I wish that I could buy a smaller size and not have a full 1 ounce where I know I won't go through the whole thing. Tarte does like little minis of their foundation, and I wish I could do that with this one because it is really nice. However, its time is done and it needs to go. I shook it up today when I used it, but I actually had a good amount gone, like maybe half, which doesn't sound like a lot, but for me, that's actually quite a bit of foundation to use considering my foundation collection. So, summary, it's good, but it is gonna leave my collection. And then for concealer, I have the Dior Backstage Flash Perfecting Concealer. I have the shade 2N, which is usually the shade that I wear in the foundations, so it's not necessarily a highlighting shade. Again, wearing this today, I quite like this. It's not my favorite. I wouldn't repurchase it. You can see, again, like there is some windowing. I've gotten some use out of this, not that much, but it's just not a standout. It's okay. I'm glad I tried it. I would prefer to try the Dior Forever concealer. That one just seems like more people enjoy that concealer. However, I do, you know, it's not bad. I just wouldn't rebuy it. Like sometimes that's just the case. If I had to think of a really curated collection with 5 concealers or so, and that's probably still a lot for some people, this wouldn't make the cut. I do like the brush though. I think that that's different. I don't have any concealers that kind of just have like this brush tip to it. So I did enjoy it while I used it the last month, but it's not one that I would just repurchase. I don't think it does that much for my collection. And then that brings us to powder. I only had one powder, and this is the number 7 Lift and Luminate finishing powder. I have the shade Light Medium. Doesn't look like I got that much use out of this. This was also unopened in my collection, waiting to be used, and I love this. This is supposed to be a Charlotte Tilbury Airbrush Flawless Finish powder dupe, and I would say that it is. I would even say that I like it better than the Charlotte Tilbury. It has like this milkiness under the eye that the Charlotte Tilbury doesn't. It's just a lot more creamy than the Charlotte Tilbury. The Charlotte Tilbury can be a little bit dry. It's more of a lighter powder, or more of a chalky powder. And once I finished this up, I already finished my Charlotte Tilbury powder, and I was trying to get through more powders before I repurchased that. But I don't even think that I want to anymore. I like this that much, and it's way, way less expensive than the Charlotte Tilbury. So I think I found like a new favorite under eye powder. I'm really happy that I finally pulled this out of my need to be used pile and gave it a shot, because this is absolutely worth the hype. I'm really happy with this powder. Moving on to complexion, I usually pull in a cream and a powder for blush, bronzer, and highlight. And speaking of Charlotte Tilbury, I have the Pillow Talk Matte Beauty Blush Wand. I have Pillow Talk and I have Pink Pop, I think. I think you can probably see which one I prefer. Definitely Pillow Talk. I am wearing this one under my blush today. So I really like this one. I'll try and get through this. It's not a bad one, just I lean more towards this color. And I think specifically since we're more in fall time right now, this just suits the weather more, whereas this one's more of a summer shade. But I really like these. I never picked up Pinkgasm, Peachgasm. I don't prefer like a very highlighty blush. So I'm glad she came out with mattes. I really like this formula. I think it's really nice. And it's a good base, or you can even wear it just alone by itself on like a very light makeup day. But since I was wearing the Milani, and that's a lot more full coverage, I kind of built it up more. For bronzer, this was in my unopened. I try to split my time between things that are already open in my collection and just the back stock of products that I haven't opened. So this was unopened in my collection, and it's so embarrassing because you can't even get this anymore. It is the Marc Jacobs Glow Away Body Bronzer. Unfortunately, I didn't use this even one time. The problem with this is it's so big and bulky. It doesn't fit on my little desk acrylic organizer, which is where I keep my Shop My Stash products, my Project Pan stuff. So because of that, it was kind of sitting on the side and I just never reached for it. And instead I reached for my Project Pan cream bronzer, which if you like Project Pan, I'll link the playlist up above and down in the description box. So I am going to roll this over one more month. And if I don't reach for it in that month and at least try it, I'll probably declutter it. I really wanted this when it came out. It was just something that I instantly wanted and I obviously purchased, but for some reason I'm not using it. And I think it's just because of the size. So I don't know. The color is not bad. I quite like the color actually. It looks a lot more glittery in the component, but on my hand, the swatch is very creamy and not as glittery. It's definitely got like a gold undertone. Like I could see this being really nice in the summertime, like on your legs, if you kind of just want to really sheer it out for a little bit more bronze. But that's that on this. It is gonna roll over, so I won't be picking another cream bronzer for my collection. I'm gonna just stick with that one. And then for powder, let's go with bronzer. this Estee Lauder Bronze Goddess in the shade 01 Light. It doesn't look like I use this, but I had a hard time not using other bronzers this month. I like this so much. It just gives the perfect glow. Again, wearing it today, I don't tend to reach for, I already said this, like very shimmery, shiny complexion products. I do prefer them to be a little bit more on the matte side, but I like something a little subtle, and this provides that. It doesn't look like I have a bronze highlight hybrid. It just gives like a really beautiful sheen without being too much. And I quite like this. I wish I could see more wear on it because I really did use it. It got hard pan. I don't know if you can see that just a little bit, but I can easily pick that up with tape. A lot of the times it's just because I'm going in with my brush right on top of my foundation. I'm not setting it. So I can see why it did get hard pan, but it's not that much. It is very light. I mean, for me, I think it's bordering too light, but they do have other shades. So keep that in mind if you're looking for it. I think that usually they just come out with their Bronze Goddess collection every year and it's limited edition. So I don't know if you can still pick this up. If you can, it'll be linked down below. I really enjoyed it. For powder blush, I have this MAC Mineralized blush in Warm Soul. This is a staple blush that was really hyped up for a long time. I'm wearing this over the Pillow Talk and I quite like it. Again, perfect amount of sheen. I keep repeating myself, but I love that it just has like a sheen without being too much. And then the highlighter that I picked is the Buxom highlighter in White Russian. I don't know why they call it White Russian because it's not really that same color and it's kind of pinky. I'm assuming because that's what they're well known for. There's a good dip going on in here and it's starting to look just, you know, really well loved and used. Not pretty anymore. This is a really nice highlight. It's kind of underrated. Buxom is an underrated brand overall, in my opinion. They just have really good, easy go-to makeup products. I don't know why more people don't talk about them. I quite like them as a brand, but that is this highlight. I will definitely be keeping this in my collection, as well as the blush. I have the Glow Play blushes from MAC as well that I haven't tried yet, and part of me is wondering if maybe I should pull those in this round. I don't know, I'll have to think on it. And then I did bring in a face palette. I don't always bring in a face palette just because I don't want to be too overwhelmed, but because at the time Hourglass announced their holiday launch for their face palettes, I figured I was gonna pull in one of my old Hourglass face palettes to just deter me from wanting to purchase that on top of their price increase. Like I have these shades over and over. Not only do I have this one, which is the very first original Hourglass holiday palette, quite old. I also have the Butterfly, the Elephant. I have another one, I believe, that's like the Unlocked. I don't know, I can't keep track of the names, but I wanted to pull in my original since it's my oldest. And I think you can see like this palette's gotten some love from me. This was actually the very first Hourglass product I ever purchased. I remember at the time everyone was talking about the finishing powders, but they were so expensive I couldn't justify it at the time. And then they came out this face palette and I was like, that's so great. I'll have everything that I need. So I purchased it and you can see like, especially the finishing powders, I usually just run my brush through all three of these. And I am wearing the finishing powders, just not the complexion products today, but I've gotten a good amount of use on this. Like this shade here is pretty much, I'm trying to show you, it's pretty much almost flat to the pan. So I'm gonna keep working on this. I think it would be a really great feat if I could actually finish it. I don't know if that's possible, but maybe one of these days I'll just try because this one holds special memories to me. I don't know why, but it's past every declutter. I just can't get rid of it. I like this a lot. And then that brings us to eyes and lips, and we'll be wrapping this portion up. For eyes, I have 3 palettes. I pulled 2 Natasha Denona that kind of reminded me of fall. I have the gold palette as well as the Metropolis palette. I'm wearing the gold palette today, and I love this palette. so much. I can't even explain it. A lot of these were loves this round, which is always nice because sometimes I end up decluttering a lot and I'm only decluttering one thing, and that's only because it's old. So I would say this round was a win. But if I could only have like 5-10 palettes in my collection, this would be one of them. It is just a staple palette. It looks so inconspicuous in the pan because a lot of these shades look similar, but on the eyes, they are quite different. Like this shade's a little deceiving. It's really like a transparent gold topper. I like that a lot. I have this all over the lid. This is like a white, silvery kind of topper, which thinking about it now is kind of like a, basically, I would imagine a dupe for those Patrick Ta loose glitters that seem to be getting a lot of attention, and I didn't want to buy those, and I don't need to because I have these. So I'm wearing this kind of like on the inner lid, this on the outer lid, but I'm wearing them over, I think I'm wearing this all over the lid as just like a base. I'm wearing this one on the outer half, this one to deepen up the outer corner with this on top, and then I chose, which one was it? I think this kind of like on the middle lid with this on top. This one here is kind of like a duochrome. I have these two on the lower lash line. You can't see it too much because I'm dipping my toes into like doing a pop of color on the lower lash line. So I went pretty light on it, but I am wearing these two colors. You know, you can't see a lot of use, especially compared to my Metropolis palette that I'll show you in a second, but I've used this palette a lot. I really like it. It's one of my best purchases from Natasha Denona. I did rank all of my Natasha Denona palettes last year, I think. I'll link that video. And I can't remember if that came in number 1 or number 2. I know my Natasha Denona Glam came number 1, but those are neck and neck. Like I would just have the Glam and the Gold and be completely happy with those two in my collection. The rest are just bonus. For the Metropolis, I pulled this in because I like have a love-hate relationship with this because I love this in theory. My fantasy self loves this, but I don't wear a lot of warm tones. So I actually did wear this more than the gold this round because I really wanted to push myself to just try out more colors. This palette just intimidates me, but I can't get rid of it because it was a limited edition palette. I don't think they sell it anymore, and it's one of those that I just feel like I need to keep. Quite honestly, I did just struggle with myself if I should declutter it, if it's adding to my collection, but I don't have anything like this. And if I think fall palette, I think this. So I am going to keep it, but yeah, I struggle with this palette a lot. I tend to, you know, when I pulled it out, I would just kind of do like an easy go-to, which is kind of like a light brown, dark brown in the corner, and put a shimmer shade on top. But I did do like a look with this red shade and kind of laid this all over the lid. And then I took this one here and put it on top. And I just played around with layering some of the shimmers on top of some of the mattes to kind of transform the shade a little bit. And that helped me out a lot. So if you're also struggling, whether it's with warm tones like myself or cool tones, maybe just try transforming the shades and seeing if you like those colors better, because this shade specifically like scared me. This is just so warm toned. It's not something I go for. If you've watched my channel, you know, like I just don't reach for these kinds of shades. And I fell in love with this palette just a little bit more. We're still not soulmates, but it at least advanced, like we're past like the awkward third date and we're like getting to know each other. So I like this a lot. And the third palette that I picked was this Chantecaille little butterfly quartet. I think it's called Butterfly Eye Quartet. Here's what it looks like. I bought this for the packaging. Sorry, it's like very reflective, but I didn't wear this that much this past month. And I struggled like if I should declutter this because it's not adding to my collection in the slightest other than the packaging. Like I at least wish that the packaging matched the quality matched the packaging. However, it does not. It's just, they're kind of like lackluster shades. They're nothing special. Like this is the best shade here. And even then, like it's just, I probably have this in my gold. Like it's very similar to that duochrome shade in the gold palette. So I don't know. I was going to declutter it, but part of me, like, I spent so much money on it, and I know if I was to resell it or give it away, like, I just wouldn't get the value back. So I am going to keep it in my collection, and I justified it by saying that I'm going to keep it to remind myself to not make that mistake again, because we're growing, we're evolving, and I'm no longer just going to buy nice luxury things for the packaging if I'm not going to get use out of them. Lips are left, and then we can go pick out new products. So I always pull in 4 lipsticks, and the 4 that I picked this time was the Romand Fudge Blur Tint in the shade Mauvish. So I'm going to swatch all these. Whoever recommended these to me, because I did like a YesStyle haul and I wanted a K-Beauty liquid lip, and the ones that I picked were just too jelly. I wanted that like very popsicle lip, and someone in the comments recommended this to me. Thank you, because I have 3 of them now and I love all of them. I have the Givenchy, some kind of like berry balm here. It's very sheer. I'm going to show you in a second. It looks very pretty, like it has that typical Givenchy like marble swirl. I like it because it at least stays, whereas if you got the gloss, like it's just going to mix all together. This is a discontinued MAC lipstick in the Naturalist from the Electric Wonder collection. And the last one I have is this Too Faced lipstick. I believe it was a collab with someone. I threw the box away, so I don't have it anymore, and it doesn't say on here. And there's like no name. There's her signature, but like I don't know what that means. Anyways, this is what this one looks like. It's a lot more pinky. So here are all of them here. You can probably see I have a type. This is the Roman Fudge Blur Tint in Mauvish. This is the Givenchy Balm. What shade is this? In 333. Then this is the MAC So Naturalist and the Too Faced. So I am wearing the Romand with the MAC kind of on top. Basically, I wore this. I'm surprised. I mean, you can't see through the packaging, so you can't see how much use you got. But basically, I wore this with this on top or the Too Faced on top every single time. I am in love with this combo. This is the combo I'm wearing today. These lipsticks, I don't know. I'm just not like a bullet lipstick person, I'm kind of realizing. They just feel really thick on my lips, and I don't know if it's just the way my lips are, but I feel like they always look really heavy. This just laid down a really nice thin base, and I felt like it almost was like a primer, just filling out my lines. And then this kind of just made it a little bit more nudie and gave me the color that I wanted without that thickness on the lip that a bullet lipstick gives. Maybe I just haven't found the right bullet lipstick, but I always just get the feeling that it looks very heavy on my lips. So I don't know, that maybe is just a preference. Maybe it's just my lips, but I at least found a combination to make my bullet lipsticks work. And I want to pick up more shades of these. I already have 3, like I said, but if I use these kind of as a base to get some use out of my bullet lipsticks, because I haven't as of now, like a lot of my bullet lipsticks have no wear on them, and I want to really get through some of my lip products. That's kind of like, I'm thinking my unofficial goal for 2024 is to get through as many lip products as possible. Then I might just purchase some more. I don't know if that's counteractive. I don't know, I'll decide later. But if you also feel like bullet lipsticks look thick and just too heavy, try using this product or any kind of just more matte liquid lipstick as a base, and then using a bullet lipstick on top. And then this I would use on its own. It's kind of like a just berry lip gloss. I quite like it actually. I kind of have some wear on it, not too much. You can't see the logo anymore. However, it's pretty easy to get through this kind of product since it's so balmy and nourishing. I really like it. But that's going to complete all the products that I've been using for the last month. So let me turn you around now and we'll pick out new products for the next month together. So first up, we're starting with primer as always. And, you know, I still want to try and work through my minis. So these are all opened, back is unopened. It's kind of how I have all my drawers. I think, what do I want to pull in? Because I'm trying to think what will work well with my Project Pan primer. I don't want to have too many of the same type. I have no idea. maybe this one. This is unopened though. This is the Revlon Photo Ready Pore Reducing Primer. Where did I get this as a recommendation from? From Taylor Wynn, I think. She used to rave about this primer. So this is the one that I'll pull in, I think. It's unopened, get my thoughts on it. See if it's as good as some of these higher end ones that I have. Just get my thoughts on it. Here's concealer, unopened, opened. This drawer wasn't as full as it was, but since I did my concealer roundup, which I'll link, it is now overflowing, so I kind of need to rearrange this drawer. But I've been thinking that the concealer I haven't used in a while is the Charlotte Tilbury Beautiful Skin Radiant Concealer. And it's a little bit light for me, so it'll be better like fall, winter, now that I'm just kind of losing my tan. So I think this is the one that I want to use, get some more love out of. I really like this concealer. On to foundation. I am going to pull 3 this time, since now I have my Maybelline ones under control. And I'm kind of thinking I want to re-get an idea of this Knobless Skin Realist. I think this is supposed to be a little bit more of a dewy foundation. Should I pull both of these in and see, or should I just pull one? Because I did do foundation reviews on both of these, but it's been a while and I don't really remember my thoughts. I guess I'll pull both of these and then I will pull a third one from my discontinued drawer. So let me just pull one more. This is my discontinued foundation drawer, and I think it is about time I pull in the CYO because both of these are untried in my collection actually, and I need to figure out which shade I am so that way I can declutter the other shade. I have the shades 103, 105, so I am going to pull both of these in, but once I figure out my shade, I will declutter one of them and kind of just get like my first impression thoughts on this. It's just been way too long that these have been sitting and waiting to get tried since I pulled in the Revlon primer for Taylor Wynn, and Taylor Wynn also recommended this. I think it's only fitting. Moving on to powder, I'm thinking that I want to use this by Terry because I'm trying to just work these minis out slowly but surely. And this one, I have the pressed hyaluronic powder in my project pan, but I don't have the loose one, and this one's actually unopened. So, oops, I'm just dropping everything. So I'm gonna try and get some use out of this, but realistically, like this powder is gonna take me months and months. I won't be able to finish this in 1 month, but I should at least get started. So I'm just a little bit closer to finishing it up and getting it out of my collection. I'm interested to see the difference between this one and the pressed version. For face palettes, like I said, I don't usually pull one in every round, but I want to start getting better with that because this drawer is one of my most neglected drawers. I think I'm going to pull this Kaja stack in. This is the Play Bento Sculpting Trio. So it has a cream, bronzer, blush, and highlight. I am keeping and rolling over my Marc Jacobs bronzer, but this kind of gives me something else to work with as well as my project pan. I'll have a lot of cream options, but this has been just kind of waiting for me to try yet again. So I'm going to test this out, and I think that that will be a good option. So let's now pick some singles for bronzer, blush, and highlight in powder. Powder bronzer. I'm not 100% sure what I want to pull in because I have pulled in some of these already. I was kind of thinking the Milani, but it's a little bit cool toned and I just don't know if it'll work with everything that I have going on. Maybe this Dior one. Let me look at it. I don't know, that one's kind of warm. I also have like these K-Beauty ones. That's looking a little light. And that's all unopened back there, but I kind of want one that's already opened. I'm going to stick with my first gut instinct and pull this Milani in. I really like this. This is the Skylight Silky Matte Bronzer of the shade 01. And it's just, this is a really, really nice bronzer. I remember liking it a lot. So I'm going to get some more use out of this one. The ever-flowing blush drawer. I want to still pull one that's unopened, even though I have more unopened blushes, I think, than opened blushes at this point. But I still think I'm going to stick with an opened blush. One that I've been thinking about a lot is this Givenchy Loose blush. This is one of the Prism Libre blushes. I've had this for a while in the shade 4 Organza Sienna. And I actually really like this. I don't typically love like a loose powder blush, but the color is really pretty. And I think it'll be good for fall. And I think, want to pull in my Dior pink blush. I don't always pull in 2 products, but I think that these are different enough that they'll give me something different. I want to make sure I can like really spread my time between all products, which is why I don't try to pull 10 things at a time, but I'm happy with 2. I think 2 is okay this round. I'm going to make an exception to my rules. For highlight, I think since the bronzer and blush were older in my collection, I'm going to pull one of these new ones. And I think I'm going to pull this Pixie because I just haven't known when to pull this in. This is the Pixie and Hello Kitty. I love Hello Kitty. It's so cute. And I don't know why I haven't pulled this in or tried it out yet. I've really been wanting to. So I think now's the time. Now's the time. We're going to use the makeup that we have. This is in the shade Sweet Glow. So I'm going to try this one out, see what I think. Here is the lipstick drawer. This drawer always I never know what to do with it because I feel like I have a lot of lip products, but then I also feel like I've pulled all these into a Shop My Stash recently. So I'm just not sure what I want to pull. And I definitely want to make sure I'm pulling a good balance between like a lipstick and a lip gloss. I think I want to pull this Dior. This is like one of the matte formulas. What is this? In the shade 720 in the Forever Icon. So I'm going to try this one. This is like a nice fall shade. I need 3 others. Is there any new ones back there that maybe I want to try? I think that's opened. That's open. I actually don't have too many unopens. I have this Tower 28 gloss in the shade Coconut that I haven't opened yet, so I'll try that. So I have a lipstick, a lip gloss, and then I need 2 more. How about this is all falling down. How about I try to get some use out of my Flower Beauty in Snapdragon, I think. Sheer Snapdragon, because this is old in my collection. This is more sheer than the Dior. So it's kind of like a good in-between of the lipstick and the gloss. And then the 4th and final one will be another new one. So I have 2 new, 2 old. Maybe. Yeah, why not? I'll pull this last Pat McGrath lip gloss in the shade Sunset Rose. Looks like, let me open it up for you. Here's what Sunset Rose and Coconut look like with the Tower 28. So these will be my 2 glosses. I have more of a matte lipstick, and then I have more of a sheer lipstick. I think that is a good balance between all of them. So these will be my 4 for the next month. Last but not least is eyeshadow. And I want to pull from like my smaller palette drawer since last time I pulled my bigger palettes. And I think it is about time that I pull my Rowan quads. I have 3 and I've never tried either of them. So I have the 1111, Gold Dust, and 52 Degrees. So I'm gonna pull these 4 in, but these are all kind of specialty shades. So I think I'm also gonna pull this like Tarte palette. I wanna say this came out for holiday last year. It has like 4 different kind of quads. And these have like some good just staple shades in them. I haven't used it. I think I just took it out of the box. So I think this paired with the Rowans will be a good match. Plus I have some other eyeshadow palettes that are coming to me that I want to test out. So this will be good just for every day. And then here is a quick recap of everything that I'll be trying for the next month. It doesn't feel like a lot. It feels a lot less than previous months, but I don't know if that's because last month I had the 2 Natasha Denona palettes, but I'm pretty sure I didn't forget anything. If I did, I'll pull them in and update you next month on what I thought about them, but I'm pretty sure that I did not. I have foundation, primer, concealer. I think that I'm good. So this is the end of this Shop My Stash. Hopefully you liked it. Make sure you give it a thumbs up, and I will see you all in the next video. Bye everyone.